Hello, all, and welcome to the Movie Bears podcast. I'm Brad Harrison. Each week, I'm joined by hunky, hairy, huggable homos who love film to dish a little bit of movie news and review a film, either current or classic. As usual, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Jim Pugliafco. Welcome, Jim.
Thanks, and welcome to the podcast, everyone.
And Will Indus is here as well. Welcome, Will.
Hey, welcome back, movie fans. Glad to have you with us this week.
Yes. A lot to talk about this week. We'll be reviewing Crimson Peak, the new Guillermo del Toro gothic romance ghost thing.
Joint?
I don't know. Thing. We'll talk about it.
We'll have lots of conversations about genre very soon.
But before that, unless you are hiding under a rock today, you probably know that the new Star Wars trailer has dropped during Monday Night Football, and of course Star Wars tickets are on sale. So figured we'd dish a little Star Wars chat. Will, you've got your Wookiee hat on. Give us your best Wookiee yell. Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
I've got my R2-D2 Mickey ears on.
Yep. Nice.
Thank you, R2.
Stylish, yeah. That was an awful R2-D2 impression, but you know what? It's okay, because check what I got! BB-8, what?
Very nice.
What are you saying?
Is it still in the box? Like, have you taken it out to play with it yet?
Oh, yeah, it's actually downstairs. It's not actually in the box. It's like Bed Bath & Beyond when you go to buy one and they have a wall of boxes, and then you take it up there all excited, and they're like, oh, we ran out of these 4 months ago.
Really?
You just have the boxes left. Yeah. Anyway, so
but you have one. It's downstairs. You've played with it. You've rolled it around.
Yeah.
It is like a Roomba flying around the
chases the cats.
room. Awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
cats chase it
awesome.
till its head falls off, and then.
That's wicked. I am jealous. I'm jealous.
So good. So good.
You said that, Brad, like you're kind of like pushing R2 to the side in favor of BB-8.
No, I'm not pushing R2 to the side. R2, you have such a big place in my heart. You'll be in my heart. But you know what? It's okay to have something new. I'm excited about BB-8. So
I'll be kind of upset if BB-8 gets more screen time than R2.
Well, you never know. Sometimes you have to let go of the old guard. You know, they have to abandon their post for the. I mean, especially when we're on like episode 7, like. You know,
right.
this is the time for some new blood or some new circuit, so to speak, to maybe take the limelight. I guess we'll see in 2 short months.
Oh my God, 2 months! I cannot believe it is almost that time. Who has tickets?
I have tickets.
We have 9 tickets.
Well, we bought a block.
Tickets.
We bought a block of tickets in anticipation of. Several friends maybe wanting to join us that maybe didn't get in on the first show time on Thursday night at 7 o'clock.
That was probably an extremely wise decision based on all of the shenanigans that I've been seeing happening with the online ticket sales tonight. Should we start off talking a little bit about that?
I think we should. Yeah.
What was your experience? Well, you didn't have to do that. But what are you hearing?
Brilliant. So what I've heard is this, and I'll talk about my experience because I cheated. The tickets went online. Today is the just shy of 2 months prior to the opening night of the film, and so tickets went on sale. And of course, everyone's thinking, "Oh my God, I've got to get my Star Wars tickets. If they're on sale, and if this other guy's buying them, I got to buy mine, or I'm gonna get shut out." So because of this frantic scramble. The websites for Fandango, Alamo Drafthouse, and AMC Theaters, I'm sure others as well, but those were the 3 that I saw reported, all had dramatic crashes. Some people were able to get in to get tickets right away. Some had to keep refreshing and get like page error after page error before they were able to get their tickets. People are having meltdowns on Twitter like, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan ever, and oh my fucking God, I can't get my tickets because of expletive, So it's been entertaining to watch, and I say it's been entertaining because I didn't have to wade through the midst of it. I had a pair of tickets from a rewards program through Alamo Drafthouse, so they've got them set aside for me. I didn't have to do the scramble today. I'm thanking my lucky stars that I signed up for that Alamo Victory program.
All those dollars you spent on movies at Alamos have paid off, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, like, the requirement to get into the program I was in was something like buying 50 movie tickets at Alamo Draft House. It's like, oh, I got that.
Yeah.
You're like,
I funneled that much money into them for sure. So it's I guess a nice little perk back. But yeah, it's craziness. I'm watching it on Facebook, and it's people are like, I'm seeing all these moments of triumph, like, oh my God, I got my tickets, like they won the lottery, and people legitimately frustrated that they haven't gotten theirs yet. Probably exacerbated by the fact that other people have gotten theirs. It's craziness.
Yeah, I feel for the guys who are the super fans and they're having frustration with the online ticket stuff. But this seems to happen all the time, right? With these kind of rush sales and things like that. It happens with when iPhones go on sale. It happens a lot, and so
Comic-Con, yeah, it happens.
That's another one, yeah. Comic-Con, guys sitting on the screen waiting for that. But luckily, this isn't exactly like Comic-Con where it's a one-time thing to get in and then you miss it for a year. There's going to be many, 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 many screenings of this movie. So, fret not, guys. Put it into perspective.
But I don't think you understand, Jim. Like, when a Star Wars movie comes out, you are fucking there opening night. This isn't, let's go see it a week after the opening when, like, the crowds. You don't fucking do that. But even on opening
night, there's going to be multiple screenings at multiple theaters. I think people will be able to get in. I don't know when they'll sell out opening night. It may not even be tonight or tomorrow. I don't know.
A lot of the theaters locally are already starting to sell out opening night. Like,
don't underestimate. Don't underestimate the power of the fan force.
I had a
dark side.
I got a kind of a bummed text from a friend who was like, I was trying to get the Thursday night tickets. They're sold out, so I've got Friday at 11 a.m.
Oh,
like,
sorry.
It's like you're gonna be okay. You will be okay. So
yeah,
you'll get to see the movie, but you won't be part of the discussion. Sorry.
Yeah. You'll miss that precious 7 hours between midnight and however many, whatever in the morning, when people are just going to be frantically talking about it. That 3 a.m. discussion is going to be where all the good talk happens.
You know what it is, though? It's actually the in-line people dressing up. It's the energy of the crowd.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing. Not even like what time you actually see the movie. It's being part of the phenomenon that's happening in the moment.
Right, and we haven't even got to the ticket trading wars yet. Like when, starting tomorrow, people will have tickets and they'll be like, "Oh, I could only get tickets for the Friday show," and then a friend will say, "Oh, well, I've got some extra tickets, and and we can make a deal or whatever." There'll be some trading going on.
Ticket trading. Let's talk ticket scalping. Like,
right?
I'm interested in seeing if that's going to happen. If we're going to have any of those situations where it's like, yeah, this movie was $10.50 to get a ticket for, but it's opening night. Give me 20 and you can get this ticket. Like, that's going to happen, right?
Oh, it's not going to be 20. It's going to be 100.
Oh my God!
Really, I could make the money I plunked down on 9. So we bought for the XD 3D screening. Bought a whole bunch, a 9, and so I had to plunk a little money down because it's like, I don't know, $14 a pop or something, because it's the LIMAX big screen and everything. So yeah, who knows? Maybe I can make my money back just by selling 2 of those seats off.
So here's the thing: I was at the episode 3 midnight opening, and there wasn't a lot of ticket scalping going on. But I went to the episode 1 midnight opening. No joke, I saw someone pay $500 for a pair of tickets and got someone out of line. He just walked up. He's like, "Here's 5 $100 bills. I will take your tickets right now."
Wow.
I can't comprehend that. Like, for me, because it is one of those things, like, yeah, there is the opening night experience, and I get that. It is really cool to see these things, or the Lord of the Rings movies, or any of these event films on opening day. It's cool. It's awesome. I totally get it. For me personally, it's not $500 cool. If my choices were pay $500 or wait 3 days and pay $10, I'm waiting 3 days and paying $10. That's me personally, though.
Hey, Will, we waited 2 days to watch this week's Survivor, and we were fine.
You're a fucking
Right?
monster. How do
I
you
know,
wait
right?
2 days to watch Survivor? No. Now this is
There's a line.
there's a line in the sand here, and you just crossed it. Jim, you're on notice. No.
This far and no further.
Oh my
So
god.
did you guys watch the trailer?
I did.
I did. I decided
Okay.
to buckle down and watch this one. I watched this trailer, and I watched the one. I guess the one that we've been seeing theatrically, the one that I've talked about several times on this episode or on this podcast.
Only you've talked about it though. Not
Well, specifically, like I've mentioned, like how much I've like teared up at the end, like whenever like Han and Chewie do their little thing. Like, so I've seen the teaser trailer, I saw that trailer, and this one. I think there might have been another trailer that came out in between. I know there's been featurettes and Entertainment Weekly articles and clips. This and did you know that this character is secretly this? I don't know those things. I've not followed them. So what I've seen in these trailers is all I know. Every so often I see someone on Facebook say something like, oh, it's so great that this character is going to be secretly evil but also secretly good. And I'm just like, good thing I don't know who that character is. I'm going to have a magical day on December 17th.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys could talk about it, like, I mean, without getting too spoilery, but I mean, like, what were your impressions of this trailer? Spoiler.
Brad, you go ahead and say what you're going to say. I'm going to echo. I think I'm going to echo what you're about to say.
I don't think you can talk about this trailer without talking about spoilers. I don't think it's possible.
It's a huge spoiler for the movie, you think?
I was, maybe I'm going to, okay, maybe I thought you were going to say something different. I think that this was an interesting trailer for me because it feels like there certainly are some, like, points where you can kind of see where it sets up, like, who the protagonists and who the antagonists are going to be. What I feel like it didn't do was I don't think it revealed anything that, like, the characters that look like the obvious antagonists look like they're going to be the obvious antagonists. The characters that look like the obvious protagonists still look like they're going to be the obvious protagonists. This one felt more like just not a teaser trailer, but I don't feel like it dropped any, like, major plot bombs or anything like that to me will spoil the experience.
Yeah, so let me echo that real quick. I don't mean that it's... I mean it's hard for me to talk about this trailer without spoilering you, Jim, on the trailer. That's what I mean. I don't think that this movie, like, or this trailer, like, will ruin the excitement for the movie because it's super spoilery. There's only one thing that I learned about a certain character that I didn't know before. Because I saw something happen in the trailer, and I was like,
"Are you sad that you know that now?"
A little bit, just a tad. Well, but aside from that, it was just a little bit more of what we've seen in other trailers, like, more action, more, I think of it more as an extended teaser than a full trailer.
Yeah,
that's what Will said. Yeah,
this is another trailer that feels like it really plays less on here's the plot things you need to know. I feel like enough of that is out there, and there are places where people can find that. I'm very happy with these trailers, by and large, because I feel like they've been playing more to these are the emotions and these are the experiences you might encounter when you come see this movie in the theater. And that's the type of trailer I want to see. Like, I want to know that my scary movie is going to be scary, or my action movie is going to be action-packed, that if I watch that romantic comedy, I'm going to get those warm feels. I want to know those things, but I don't want to know how I get to those things. And I feel like these trailers, I mean, obviously you learn some things. You've got to show things in the 2 minutes or whatever the trailer's on screen. But I think the way they cut them and they show things out of order, and they show a lot of just, like, shots of someone's face, it's
oh my God, there's faces in this movie.
There's
Thanks
faces
a lot,
in this
Will.
movie, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
It's very
robots.
It's very Spielbergian in a way. You, like, get a close-up shot. You're like, you can't see my face.
Like
close up to
shots, reaction shots. The movie,
like, zoom right in on the face.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm so happy with these trailers.
Totally.
They could have spoiled these movies like crazy, and I'm sure if I had been watching these trailers a different way, if I were to go back and rewatch them and, like, actively look to spoil myself, I'm sure I could pick out a detail in the background, or oh, this guy has this insignia on his left shoulder, which obviously means this. But I think unless you're kind of actively trying to ruin the movie for yourself, those things probably won't pop out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I got to explain myself a little bit. I mean, like, I've seen the 2 previous trailers, or the teaser and the trailer that have come out, and then I told myself at that point, like, okay, this looks really good. I'm excited. I don't want to see any more, and I'm going to try to stick to that. Now, as Brad and I were talking earlier, it's going to be very difficult. I'm going to be sitting in movie theaters several times between now and December 17th, and this trailer is going to be shown in front of some movies, right? So I'm going to have to figure out a way to, put my head down and block my ears and have Brad nudge me when it's all over. There's a couple movies that I put in that category. There's this one and the one I've seen 2 trailers for already called The Good Dinosaur. And which I'm really excited about, both of them, and I don't want to see any more. You know what I mean? I'm done until the movies come out. So yeah, so we'll see how that works out, if I can avoid more. I mean, it's going to be all over social media tomorrow.
Oh, it's all over it right now. Like,
good luck.
That trailer premiered on Monday part of Monday Night Football tonight, which I'd be really interested in seeing what percentage of people like. It was at halftime. What the ratings numbers for the first half versus the second half were. I bet you there's a very nerdy difference between those two. But Jim, I think to your point, I 100% get where you're coming from, and I think it's probably a good call. But I will also say, from a kind of a rest easy type situation, if this trailer does happen to pop up in front of you, I think you'll at least be in better shape than if it had been another type of trailer. Like, at least, like, if this one does creep up on you in some way, shape, or form, you don't have to worry too much.
Yeah, and it sounds like none of us are actually in the camp, but then I know some of our friends are, and God bless them for being, super fans, and they have to and want to know every little detail about the film. You know what I mean? Everything they can read or get their hands on. Everything that's out there, they take in before the movie. I don't know. I want to preserve some of my experience for the movie theater for these 2 movies at least.
Totally.
Jim wants to wear a white dress to the movies that has stayed white the whole time, and has not yet been spotted with the lost innocence of.
It seems like it's been spotted twice with the teaser trailer.
I haven't been
the first trailer.
Yeah.
So it can't be a solid white, but you can wear like an eggshell white, and I think you can get away with
I haven't had intercourse, maybe just a finger or 2.
Oh my God! Wow!
Wow, that's funny going into Crimson.
Oh God! Can we?
And your poster in the background, Will, while she's standing on that blood.
I'm looking frantically on my computer for the button that's like the fucking escape hatch for this one. Like, I push it and I just go shooting out the roof, like, away from this part of the conversation. Oh my God, guys!
Wow.
Anyway.
But it sounds like you guys were happy with what you saw. That's good.
Definitely. I can't wait to see it in theaters. The trailer is definitely a spectacle. I want to go see a movie immediately with this trailer attached to it. But I appreciate, I think about a lot of the other trailers that I've seen this year for some of the blockbuster films that came out, right? Like Avengers: Age of Ultron. Holy fucking hell. That trailer was pretty much like the whole movie. Like, you didn't need to watch anything else. The trailer was it. You know what I mean? But with this one, I feel like it gave me just enough to be like, oh my fucking God, I can't wait. This is going to be amazing. But not so much that I feel like I already know everything. Like I said, there's only one thing about one character that I think I saw something on Facebook about, but I kind of dismissed it, and then I saw it in the trailer, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a real thing, I guess. And I wish maybe that had not been in the trailer, but even that, I don't think it's huge enough to, impact.
Cool.
You know.
Cool.
But we have a live comment from someone that you probably were thinking about, Jim, when you were just talking a minute ago.
Let me guess. It's Felipe.
It is Felipe.
Hi, Felipe.
One of our movie buddies here from Tucson. So he says that Jim, the description you were giving. He says, "That would be me," with like 12 exclamation points. He says, "Loved the trailer. #lens flare."
Yes.
Totally true, Felipe.
Well, that's no spoiler.
And that's awesome. Like I'm that way about some movies as well. Like I think if you already have an innate amount of knowledge about a property, like you're already going to be a little bit spoiled on the storyline anyway, so it probably doesn't hurt as much. Like with a lot of these comic book movies, like I have no problem diving in and reading deep on them because I've read the source material the comic book movie is based off of. I know what's going to happen in Days of Futures Past because I've read it, back when it came out all those years ago. I understand who Ultron is as a character, so I kind of get that storyline already. So it doesn't hurt me to like dig a little bit deeper because it's just revealing things I already know. I'm not a big extended Star Wars canon type guy. Like I've watched all of the movies, played a couple of the video games. That's about it. I haven't read any of the novels. Any of the extended universe comic books. I don't know all of these things by heart. So for me, it would take a lot of extra spoiling just to get to that level. But
but it doesn't matter because none of it's canon anymore.
It isn't. But I know that there are certain. I know there are certain things, and again, I don't know 100% everything that's going on in Star Wars, but there's been some characters and some who are kind of related to a character that also appeared over here. Like they cannibalized a few things from what I've heard from people. I don't know to what degree or how much, but I do know people once they started revealing things. I heard some people making a lot of quick like, oh, this must obviously be this because of that, and I'm like, well, I don't know who that character is, so I don't know why that would be.
Gotcha.
It's one of those things where, for me to get to that point of spoiled, I think I would have to do a lot of research, and I think that would just actively spoil it for me even more. It's hard to describe, but I think it all has to do with how familiar you are with the source material.
So, just to explain, by what you mean, Brad, by none of it's canon anymore, you mean none of the stuff outside of the 6 movies are canon?
Well, so not necessarily, because there are things that are canon. So when Disney bought Star Wars, they went through and basically decanonized pretty much everything except for the Clone Wars animated series. Now Star Wars Rebels, which is like a follow-up animated series to that. There are a few books that have come out since the decanonization that are canon. But like hundreds and hundreds of Star Wars novels, which most of them I've read, and many of them are quite good, are now in like a different universe. Like they're not official anymore. So, things that happen in the books with like Han and Leia and their kids and who becomes a Jedi and who does not become a Jedi and, all this other stuff. Like, it could have an influence on the movie. There could be elements of it. I mean, I certainly have my own suspicions. But, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a clean slate at this point. You know what I mean? They have license to do pretty much anything. They're not beholden to
and that's exciting in itself.
Yeah.
Me. You know what I mean?
Well, I think as a Star Wars fan, right, for me, if I'm coming in and I'm like, oh my God, there's hundreds and hundreds of books, like I'm never going to get a handle on this franchise as a new fan, that's really intimidating. But if it's like, hey, it's 6 movies and a couple of cartoon series, okay, I'm on board. I can handle that.
And I haven't even done the cartoon series, so I'm coming at it just from the films themselves. So my hope is, and I think this is where they're going, I'm pretty sure they are, that the films are going to be self-contained enough that you can watch the shows and enjoy the shows and appreciate the shows, but they're not going to be required watching for the movies. That would be that's my one fear on opening night, is that there's going to be a character and it's going to be like, oh, that's obviously
so-and-so
mix so-and-so, and you would know that if you watched all 47 episodes of this. It's like, shit, then I can't watch this movie now. Yeah.
I think Disney is all about making the jumping on point as broad as possible.
Yeah.
And this movie is really meant to sort of relaunch this franchise. So I don't think it's going to be like that, Will. I think there'll be incidental knowledge, maybe, that will be like bonus, but certainly nothing that you're going to be lost or,
And that's perfect. That's perfect. And then they can get more into the weeds with. I know they've got episode 8 and episode 9 slated. Then they've got like the spin-off movies. And if the spin-off movies get more into the weeds with the lore, I think that makes perfect sense because you have your through-line movies, your main episodes, and then everything else there just kind of expands and builds and grows that world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, gosh, we just talked for half an hour about Star Wars.
Well, that's cool.
This is a glimmer of the extended conversations that we're going to have darn near 2 months from tonight.
Right? For our 3-year anniversary episode.
Right.
And you guys are not going to poo-poo the celebration for 3 years.
No. That's.
What's our actual anniversary date?
The actual anniversary date is... well, the week is the week of the movie coming out. Let me take a look.
So then, yeah,
our actual anniversary is let's see.
Please send all anniversary gifts to moviebearspodcast.com.
Right. Our actual anniversary, guys, is the 19th. So technically speaking, it's, we'd be celebrating it a few days late.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're not going to record on the Saturday anyway. So, this is our 3-year anniversary episode, and I think that's the perfect time to celebrate. Not only is it kind of on the the year of, like, that's a really cool milestone, but it's with this movie too. Like, that's pretty wicked. Like, it's nice that we have a really solid conversation.
Yeah. Let's hope it's better than a Hobbit movie.
Well, I mean, it's going to be, right?
Like our other birthdays were.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Oh, if it isn't, oh my God, can you imagine if this is another episode 1? Like,
oh Jesus!
After all of this foreplay, if that's how this ends, like with it just being like 2 and a half, like we go in there and like what the thing that they haven't shown us in the trailers is that there's like 7 Jar Jar Binks in this movie, and every moment of
the Jar Jar army.
Yeah, every moment of screen time that's not already been seen in the trailers is just Jar Jar doing stuff. Oh my God. There's a really cool, just an aside that I think you guys will appreciate. They came out with the poster last week and it looked really cool. Someone did a Jar Jar Binks parody poster where they basically replaced all of the characters in the poster with Jar Jar Binks. It is brilliant. Beautiful trolling.
So believe it or not, I actually avoided seeing that poster. It was all over Facebook, and any I just closed my eyes and kept scrolling.
I did see the trailer.
I
mean, not the trailer. I saw the poster. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So then you already know.
I saw the poster. It's just a bunch of Star Wars guys on it. I mean,
no. I'm just saying you already know the thing that I'm referring to in the trailer. Then that I didn't know.
I do.
If you've seen the poster,
maybe
that there's lightsabers and stuff.
Jim maybe watched the poster from the same way I did. Like, I looked at it, but I didn't
study it.
Look at it.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that's kind of revealing in that poster, I missed it.
I'm just talking about one of the main characters of the movie. Like, it's in the poster, and
okay.
I mean, I don't want to say too much if you didn't notice, but
I don't think I noticed. I don't think I noticed. I couldn't name, other than a bunch of stormtroopers. I probably couldn't name. I think I saw. I don't know. Did I see Luke's face on there? No, I guess I didn't. I don't know. I can't remember, so I'm not even going to try to speculate what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, though, right? With certain character.
There's one thing that I've heard about this, and I'm going to tread very cautiously here. Not that there's a character on the poster, but that there's a character not on the poster.
No, I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about one of the main cast members on the poster. I didn't know that. I don't know how to say it without.
Send me a message about it, and we'll and it'll just be super this will be a super weird conversation.
Okay, all right. I'm messaging you right now to the power of the internet, and you tell me.
By the power of the internet, you shall receive my message.
Oh, okay, yes. That thing that you're talking about with that one particular character, I guess the reason that it didn't surprise me is it was one of the things that I was Like, I don't know, just I kind of already had that vibe, like that something that may happen. Yeah, not like I knew it for a fact or anything like that, but that thing that you're talking about, like when I saw that on the poster, I was just like, oh, okay. Like it didn't didn't rock me.
Because I hadn't seen that at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, until I saw the trailer tonight, and then I went back and saw the poster, and I was like, oh, okay. So anyway.
Yeah, especially compared to the other promotional materials. Like, I do like that any of the things that they have released, aside from like the Entertainment Weekly, like, you know, here's a little bit of everything about every character things that got released. It feels like we've just been getting like breadcrumbs with every single thing that's come out. So, yay, the power of the internet. That actually made that conversation go a lot better than it could have been.
Right? Except all of our listeners who are still in the dark.
Yeah.
They're like, what the fuck are you even talking about?
So, listeners, if you want to know what it is, just let me know, and I'll send you a quick message.
No, let's do this. Jim, close your eyes.
Jim, close your eyes, yeah.
All right.
Close your eyes. I'm going to do a little screen sharing, power of the internet. Listeners, that's what we're talking about right there. That character with that thing. That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
So,
keep them
Jim,
close, Jim.
good.
Keep them close. Okay, you can do it. You're good.
No, Jim, you're good. And I just realized that's for our video watchers only, because if you're listening at iTunes, you can't fucking see what we just showed on the screen.
Yeah,
so.
There's someone like on their commute right now going, what the fuck, guys? Like, seriously? Like, what is the obfuscation? So, yeah, listeners, if you want to know, just let me know. We'll send you a quick message. I'm sure there'll be like 3 of you asking for that, and I'd be cool with that.
I'm sure if you send Will a shirtless picture, he will trade insider knowledge with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, guys,
this is a good plan.
are we ready to take off our Star Wars hats, so to speak, and
put on our Crimson Peaks?
Can we do so? Like, you know, can we take off our literal Star Wars hats too? Because mine's kind of hot. Like, it is summer.
It's itchy. It looks itchy.
Let's do it.
It's not itchy, but it is it's a wool hood.
Bum 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 Anyway, now I have hat hair.
I somehow I don't.
I need like a comb. I need my Thon's comb. Hey.
You just need to not have hair like me.
I suppose. You know, I used to have my hair buzzed like super short. Jim, do you remember that when you met me?
Yeah, shorter than it is now. Yes.
Yeah, it was like not even a quarter of an inch. It was like super short. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could like rub my head and it was super fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I like that. I like that feeling. That's all. I'll leave it at that right there.
So guys, I was totally gonna get like this really cool like dressing gown and a candelabra for tonight. For our Crimson Peak.
Is that what we are we gonna have like
a flouncy dress
for every movie?
Dress.
Yeah, we need to have props, obviously.
This is going to be like the Carrot Top podcast. Like, every episode is like with something ridiculous on our hands.
Indeed. In any event, we are going to review a film. If you are new to our show, not familiar with our format, and we do have some new listeners recently, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. We're going to talk about the movie spoiler-free. Of course, we're referring to Crimson Peak with Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain, co-written and directed by Guillermo del Toro. But we'll do it spoiler-free. We'll give you some advice on whether we think you should see it if you have not yet. And then we'll give you ample warning before we take you to Spoiler Pound Town. Guys, are we ready? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hashtag Spoiler Pound Town. We're making it a thing.
That's our hashtag for the episode. Like, you know, if you listen to this episode, you follow along, you know, you like what you heard, you know, just send us a quick comment that says, you know, hashtag, what was it again? Hashtag
Spoiler
Pound Town. And that way we'll know that you listened this far into the episode. That's this episode's hashtag. Do it.
Beware Pound Town.
All right, here we go. Our discussion of Crimson Peak. Beware of Guillermo del Toro movies. Anyway, so Will, why don't you give us a little bit of setup for this film? I know you actually saw this at Fantastic Fest with Guillermo del Toro on stage for Q&A, right?
Oh, yeah, I did. It was great. It was the secret screening at Fantastic Fest.
The embargo's lifted, Will.
Embargo is lifted. I can actually talk about this.
Yay, we don't have to hear about that anymore.
Oh, bah. Yeah, so it was great because we go into the secret screening and they're like, like, oh, this is a very small, independent film from a director who you probably haven't heard of, and they do a really good job of like selling that in a way that's way more believable than what I just did. And then Guillermo del Toro is like behind this little like curtain, and I could kind of see him where I was sitting, and so everyone else is just like, oh, okay, it's like it's whatever, and I'm sitting over there just like, oh my god, he's about to walk out in front of me, and sure enough, he does. Comes out, introduces the film, and does a little bit of a QA afterwards. He stressed one thing during the QA, and it's going to be the thing that I'm going to be stressing a lot during my discussion here. Crimson Peak is a film that was, I believe, marketed extremely poorly, and I say that because we talk about that a lot on this episode, like sometimes, or on this show, sometimes like a commercial or a trailer campaign can give away too much or can show the wrong thing about a movie, and I think a lot of times that's true, but a lot of times the film has to be able to still kind of exist as it is, it has to be stronger than the marketing. In this particular case, I think this is probably the most egregious example of bad marketing that I've seen for a film in recent history. I can't think of something that's been more off the mark for the actual film. From the trailers, you would think that this is a straight-up horror movie, like ghosts and ghouls and goblins slashing people up left and right. And instead, what we have is a gothic romance. This story is, again, I'm keeping it spoiler-free right now. After this tragedy befalls this family, you've got this young woman played by Mia Wasikowska. And she is a bit of an odd duck for the time, as opposed to just kind of like marrying off to another family. She wants to be an author. She wants to be a writer. She meets and develops a relationship with a Tom Hiddleston character, and things happen. You have this romance-ish type thing that develops between them, and this writer has to deal with that, the consequences thereof, and the ghosts of her own past as she kind of navigates this treacherous new territory. When you actually look at this film not as a horror movie and as a gothic romance, I think this is a beautiful movie. I think this is a quite good movie with only one thing that didn't quite work for it, and that to me was the performance by Charlie Hunnam, who played the other male lead in this film. I don't think he did anything wrong in the role. I just don't think that he brought anything special and new to the table, especially when you have what I thought were three other pretty solid lead performances in Mia Wasikowska playing Edith, the lead, Tom Hiddleston playing a charming guy who wins her heart, and Jessica Chastain, who plays... I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think this might be my favorite Jessica Chastain performance to date. I think what she brings to the table here is quite good. And this is a performer. I love Jessica Chastain. I've had, I want to say nothing but good things to say about her in the past. But I really thought she brought some good stuff to the table here. There's a lot of things that you'll appreciate about this movie if you have the same sensibilities as me. I love a good gothic romance. So I love that the elements of it, the classic elements thereof, all exist. From the dramatic, kind of the over-the-top costuming, to the sets, to the color palettes, to the way the supernatural and the natural kind of combined. A big element of the gothic romance is the modern woman seeking a place for herself in a world that doesn't quite get her, and you get that with your lead here. I think there's a lot that really works here. The Charlie Hunnam character, again, isn't fantastic. But everything else worked for me. So don't go out to see this movie as a horror movie. This isn't the type of movie that you're going to watch with your friends and like, oh my God, there's another jump scare. Oh my God, did you see that? I'm going to lose sleep over this. This is not that type of movie. This is a the horror elements in this are much subtler, are much more kind of ingrained in kind of what this character goes through and how she gets there. Beautiful camera work, again, beautiful use of the color red all throughout the film for all the places you might expect. We've joked about it in the poster that's on my wall, but that use of color palette is important in the film itself. I think this is a good movie. Again, if you're looking for like the Halloween bump in the night movie, this isn't it. But again, a good, solid gothic romance by Guillermo del Toro, a man who's able to genre bend and make quite beautiful things out of quite creepy territory quite effectively. I say go see this. I liked it a lot.
Genre bend, is that like airbending?
It's very similar to it, except for I was going to make a joke about how Shyamalan hasn't touched it, but yeah, he genre bends like crazy too.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
So my joke doesn't work. It doesn't work. Just insert something witty about that the airbending movie being awful. Just insert that right here, and we'll move on.
Jim will find something in post that he can put in there.
Perfect. Love it.
It'll work.
You guys help me out with that, will you?
Jim, I just wanted to say something real quick.
Go.
You mentioned Good Dinosaur earlier. I just noticed your new awesome Good Dinosaur in the background.
Yep. Say hello to Arlo right here.
Hi, Arlo.
Say hello to
Hey, Arlo.
He's going to be joining me from now until a while from now. So
I think it's fucking hilarious that you have Godzilla on one side,
I know, right?
Arlo on the left, and Ghidorah like above your head. You're like Halo'd.
The king of monsters.
Surrounded by monsters on all sides.
Yeah. And yeah, we haven't seen Arlo in a movie yet, so we don't know if he's a monster or not. I tend to think that he's not going to be. He's going to be a good dinosaur.
Now, Jim, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Let's say we go see, and heaven forbid this happens, but you go see The Good Dinosaur and it's just awful.
Terrible.
It's like the worst movie of the year.
And I'm really disappointed.
Does that stay up in the background, or does it slowly find its way to like a box in the attic?
It'll slowly find its way somewhere else.
It will be a new cat toy.
Yeah, you got to remember, I have cats. I have cats.
Oh,
They have a pile of toys, and that's where he'll end up. But I don't want to suppose that yet, but we'll see.
yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting supposition.
Will, you know his stuffed sadness that's usually back there?
Uh-huh.
You'll notice it's gone. Reason being is our cat Kira likes to grab Sadness in the middle of the night, drag her around the house, and then put her up on the bed as a gift and meow until someone wakes up.
Oh, that makes me terribly sad.
I know.
Right?
Appropriately so.
Nothing against that movie or Sadness, because I love them both, but yeah, one of our cats has taken a liking to her.
Huh.
She sleeps with Sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, that's like it's like some junior high like pseudo goth poetry right there.
Right? She's all like, "Hi, Kira. I guess it's time to pull me off the shelf again."
I sleep with sadness every night. No one understands me, especially my parents.
Anyway, so Jim, tell us your initial thoughts on Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak. Okay, well, I had heard going into this that, it wasn't so much of a horror movie as the trailer. You know, if you just knew about it through the trailers, you'd obviously think this was supposed to be a scary ghost movie, right? A horror movie. And then with a visionary director like Guillermo del Toro behind a horror movie, you're like, wow, this could really be something special. But as Will said, it really was something a little bit different than that. And I think that's where, this movie was kind of a head scratcher for me, and it frustrated me a little bit. And while I can appreciate some of the aspects of it, and a lot of which you mentioned, Will, I just ended up feeling really flat after this movie, and not really, appreciating it on the whole, and not really being able to recommend it. I mean, it was the visual style was there. It was lush. It was beautiful. The costumes were amazing. All the crushed velvet and chiffon flowing gowns as they run down the hallway, and the melted candelabra things that they ran around the mansion with. That was all cool and it looked great, but past that, it just left me wanting more, and mostly in the story aspect. I'm a story guy, and I don't know, this story felt like so overly familiar, and in spots I kept asking myself, why are they doing this? What's going on here? It it's like the story itself was a little underbaked, and he went more for an atmosphere, and I can understand that, and I think he pulled off what he wanted to. Will, you said he came out and he kind of said something at the beginning of the movie. Did he actually apologize for the way the trailer may have misled people?
He didn't. He didn't apologize. No.
Oh,
the way he worded it was basically like, you may think of this movie as a horror film. It's not. This is a gothic romance, and it follows all of the the trappings thereof, or something to that effect. So he wasn't apologizing for the marketing.
Okay.
I took it to mean that he was concerned about someone just like expecting another like Blumhouse like ghost story, though.
Oh no. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like a really gripping horror ghost thriller kind of story with all the trappings and visual style of Guillermo del Toro. That's what I was expecting. I got the latter, but I didn't get the former. I didn't get any of the compelling story really whatsoever. And the issue I had with it was like they did try to it was kind of built on a ghost story, and there were ghosts in the story, spirits, whatever you want. None of that was very scary. Now maybe it wasn't meant to be. And if it wasn't meant to be scary, then I asked myself, okay, why is it in the movie? Why is it there to kind of to maybe give a feeling of creepiness or whatever? And maybe there was some of that. And even and then to take some of those CGI ghost things that were in the movie, to me that cheapened the rest of the movie, the way the movie looked. I thought the movie looked great. I mean, if they had used the actual like people as ghosts or whatever in the movie, and kind of these were total CGI creations as far as I could ell.
Maybe
a face or two might have been a person with makeup, but everything else looked like it was definitely CGI'd in there. The effects of the ghosts and all that. But anyway, I don't know. It was kind of a missed opportunity for me, because I just I love the guy's style. I mean, Pan's Labyrinth and even The Devil's Backbone remains two of my favorite movies, and I just thought he could really do something great with this, and it just didn't come off that way for me. And again, that's maybe because I'm putting too much emphasis on the story, which I thought was pretty basic, and I've seen in other places. And it's funny because I looked at we were mentioning this before the show, I looked at the writers, and one of them is Guillermo del Toro himself, the other one is Matthew Robbins. He's a guy who actually wrote and may have directed a movie called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, which was another ghost haunted house movie, which when I saw the trailers for this movie, I'm like, not knowing that he had anything to do with writing that, I said, this really reminds me of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And bang, sure enough, he ended up writing this one. But so that's why it kind of looks that way. And by the way, Guillermo del Toro executive produced that other movie, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. So there's a big connection there. Obviously, Guillermo del Toro loves this genre, this kind of haunted, gothic house ghost genre, and he likes to dabble in it. And this was his shot at it. All I can say is the performances. Will, I kind of agree with you. I think, to me, I mean, I know you like Jessica Chastain in this movie, and I think she was fine as the. I'm not going to say because I'm spoil it. She was fine in the role she played, I thought. You're right. I thought Charlie Hunnam was either miscast or that character was just so underwritten as to be so. There was nothing he could do with it. Tom Hiddleston was great. I thought Mia Wasikowska was really good. I thought she had a lot of heavy lifting to do in this movie, her and Tom Hiddleston, and I thought they did it pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I'll save the rest for spoilers, but I guess I can't really say that this is something that I would recommend people go out to see. However, if you are feeling like you do want to see it, you might as well see it on the big screen because it is a visual feast, if nothing else.
Yeah, indeed. I think I liked it a little better than you, Jim, and probably less than you, Will. So I'm in the middle, and you know I like to be in the middle of you.
Oh my gosh. Ooh.
No surprise there. But yeah, I mean, for me, this one was fine. It was fine. I enjoyed it. Probably 3 paws out of 5. I enjoyed it more for the visual stuff than anything else, I guess. I love the period costumes. I love the fucking house. I think that was amazing. I wanted to see more of the house. Like, I want a map of the house. I want an Oculus Rift Crimson Peak Allerdale Hall experience. I think that would be really cool. But I think, again, the marketing comes into play here because every trailer I saw for this movie tries to make it look a little like, ooh, Halloween's coming out, go see Crimson Peak. And it's definitely not that. I think if you go with the expectation that it's a horror movie with gothic romance elements, you're totally wrong because it's a gothic romance movie with little bits of horror elements weaved in. And that's fine. I mean, I like this movie. I like the way that it was done. But I do agree. I think the marketing sort of sets it up for fail. But then again, if you market it as like a gothic romance movie with ghosts, are you going to get people in the seats, or are you going to get them in the seats if you market it the other way around?
And that's the problem, yeah.
Right. So I see where they're coming from, and I understand it. It's just sort of unfortunate because it does black swan you a little bit. And yes, I use black swan as a verb. It's my thing. It's what I do. It's what I do. But I thought it was cool. I mean, visually speaking, again, the house was neat. There were some things I did not understand about the house. We'll talk a little bit more about those in spoilers. How certain things worked with the environment. Totally mystifying. Must have been supernatural. But, you know, I mean, I think if you're looking for an interesting movie to go see on date night, give it a little gothic horror flair. You know, it's good stuff. Will, I know you're all about Jessica Chastain in this movie. I love Jessica Chastain. I actually felt like it was not the greatest performance for her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It just the character. Maybe it's the character is a little one note until something happens, then something else happens, and then she becomes, you know, expanded a little bit. But I just felt like she was such a forgettable piece of like 2/3 of this movie. And then when other stuff comes into play. Gosh, it's hard to talk about it without going into spoilers.
We were kind of waiting. I think because the plot, and I won't give anything away, but because the plot is so predictable, I think the whole time you're seeing her on the screen doing not much, you're like, when is she going to start doing, you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
When is it going to kick in that she's going to get her chance to chew some shit up? And she does, but it comes later in the movie.
Right, and there were certain bits that I really, really enjoyed from her. I mean, again, we'll wait till spoilers. But I just think they could have done a little more with her, maybe given that character a little more range with emotion. I don't know, but maybe that's not the story they were trying to tell. But in any event, yeah, Hunnam, not so great. Unfortunately, I do like him. I mean, Pacific Rim was not my favorite.
Doesn't he have
ever.
to be in every?
We know that, but yeah, he pretty much does, right? But no, I wanted to talk a little bit about the overabundance of red in this film. It's really interesting. I was having flashbacks to The Sixth Sense, actually, which I don't think Del Toro had anything to do with, but.
No.
Red was a major color motif in that film as well. In fact, I can't look at the color red the same way because of that movie. In fact, I'm looking at Riker's uniform behind me right now, and I'm getting chills. So I'm going to stop looking at Riker's uniform. But it was really interesting how it was kind of woven into the plot of the film and how it kind of explained some things. And, you know, Del Toro didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? He could have just slapped it up there and it would have been fine. But I sort of appreciated some steps that were taken. So anyway, good stuff overall. I want to read a couple of live comments that came in with some of our listeners' thoughts. Jim, why don't you take this one? I popped it in chat. Do you want to grab that one?
I got it. Hey, this is from another Fantastic Fest goer who probably saw it with you, Will. Adrian.
Indeed, he did.
Right? And he was also on embargo, so I didn't ask him for his opinion before tonight, but now that he's got it out, let me read what he says here. He says, major disappointment. Wasikowska, Hiddleston, Chastain went together like gum and crackers. Is that a Canadian thing, gum and crackers?
I don't know.
I think it's not because they don't go together.
Right.
They go together like Hubba Bubba and Ritz crackers.
Yeah. A film with this cast should be more engaging, more entertaining. Oops, and I just lost it. Engaging, more entertaining. Instead, they're just going through the motions. For a genre romance done right, rent Spring instead. Which is another movie you loved, Will. I know that.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and I think that's part of where the discussion of I realize that I've thrown out the phrase gothic romance a lot in this podcast, and there might be people that are listening who are thinking like, what the hell is gothic romance? And I know I have a tendency to sometimes speak about things that are like, like a literary concept and just kind of dive right in and just be like, oh, sorry, I forgot. So gothic romance is a very specific like literary genre. Like you saw it a lot with like Jane Eyre and like the Bronte sisters and stuff like that. And it has to do with more than anything else like that sense of that drama, that sense of like and by drama I don't mean like like overacting and stuff like that. Just like things being very austere, like colors being bright, mansions having those like huge like buttresses and arches, and there's usually a supernatural element in these, but that supernatural element is usually explained away as something else. Like the supernatural element in a gothic romance is a secondary thing. It's not like the most important thing. And I think that might be like if I really think about this film, like the ghosts, you could probably do the same story without the ghosts and still have the same basic storyline. Like you could tell this without the ghosts. And I think that's where they were getting at there. Now I definitely want to agree with one thing that you said there, Adrian. Spring is one of my top movies of the year. I love Crimson Peak. I thought it was a really solid movie. It's not in my top 5. It's not in my top 10. This isn't a movie that I think is going to be like a stand the test of time. It's just one that I enjoy at this moment in time. Whereas Spring is one that I've gone back to again and again and again. So right there with you, Spring is probably my favorite like genre romance of the year. But I do have another comment I'd like to read out from Dave Giannini. He says, wish I could stay longer to comment and such, but Star Wars spoilers. Which I totally get. Yeah, totally get that. He wanted to leave before we, so that we wouldn't hit on any Star Wars spoilers.
Oh, well, we weren't gonna anyway.
Yeah. But I get the, kind of the same thing as like, kind of plugging your ears during like trailer time. Like, I'm right there with you, Dave. I get it. But he says he loved the hell out of Crimson Peak, beautiful in every frame. He's a Del Toro fan for life. Yeah, that's cool stuff. I think that he is certainly a guy who. I appreciated the story. I know you didn't as much, Jim, and I ultimately some of these things can be subjective, right?
Yeah.
But I think that one thing that I think we're all in agreement on, I think the same thing with what Dave is saying here is that this is a very beautiful film. Like the frames are great, the costumes are great, the color palette is great, like
camera work,
all of that stuff is extremely well framed and well put together.
The carpentry aspect sucks, though. Just saying. We'll get to that in a minute.
Just one thing I want to note real quick. So Dave is actually from Pop Culture Case Study, another movie podcast. Yeah, absolutely. They review films and talk about the psychology of films. It's kind of interesting.
Kind of from a psychology angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For different films. Awesome. I love that. That's
it's pretty sweet.
Angle. Yeah,
pretty sweet. So, Dave, thank you so much. Good to hear from a fellow podcaster. Good stuff. I have a live comment as well. All kinds of comments. Star Wars brings the boys to the yard.
Yeah, no kidding. Can we have a trailer every week?
My lightsaber brings the boys to the yard. Anyway, did you like my little head check there? Right. So I have a comment. I have a comment from Mick Jones. Mr. Jones.
Hey, Mick.
Hi, Mick.
Hey,
He says, did anyone else get a Flowers in the Attic vibe from this movie? Guillermo has some mommy issues.
Interestingly, because he had a movie that came out beginning of 2012 or 2013 called Mama, a supernatural movie about that. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mick, I totally did. I was actually going to bring that up a little bit later in spoilers. Definitely some of that. All I will say, no, I'm not going to say it. You're going to have to hang on until spoilers, and then we'll talk a little bit more. But yes, I wanted to validate you. Take some time and
Validation.
give you validation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
Anyway.
one of the things I want to mention here, and it's not a spoiler, but I really didn't. You say gothic romance, and perhaps I am not as what do you say, into or up on my gothic romance genre things and tropes, and be able to measure this against that. I can imagine it probably stands up pretty well. But like I said, I'm a story guy, and even from the romance perspective, and I appreciated one thing that this movie did, is the setup of the movie. And a lot of people complained about this, how it took a long time to set up its story. And that's all I'll say, and we'll get into more in spoilers. But it took a good span of the movie to set it up, and I still had issues with the main relationship of the movie. I didn't fully buy in to what was going on between those two, and it wasn't really clear. Obviously, there was a love connection, but there was other things going on too, and I never was sure which one was genuine.
And I think that's the other thing that's kind of hard to discuss with this film. Not hard to discuss, but hard about even the term of gothic romance. You see the word romance, and you immediately link it to like a romantic comedy or a romantic drama, and the romance actually doesn't have to do with the relationship.
Characters,
Yeah, a gothic romance, basically, it's based on like the romantic period, which has that like kind of imitation of like medieval sensibilities built in with this like austere gothic sensibilities of like the late 18th century, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So it has more to do with the time frame that the story elements are pulled from. Like most gothic romances, usually there's like some woman who's sold off to some guy, or she's being courted by some guy, but she's trying to maintain her own will. But most of them are mysteries. Like, why is this ghost coming down from the attic? Oh, it was secretly his this the whole time, or something like that.
Baby was in the well.
Yeah. So yeah, a gothic romance is not actually a romance. It's not about the like romantic feelings between the characters. They may exist, they may not, but usually it's a mystery with some supernatural elements in place.
Right, but this movie did try to set up a romance, and regardless of it being a gothic romance, it set up a romance that I wasn't really fully bought into at certain points when I probably should have been. And so that was just one of the things that kind of threw me off about the movie too.
Gotcha. Understandable. Well, guys, the show's pretty much over at this point. We've run our full length. We haven't gotten to spoilers yet. Oh my god.
Let's quickly talk spoilers.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say in spoilers because I think most of the conversation I think about this one was probably front loaded.
Yeah, I think so too. But spoilers are officially fair game. We're going to do some abbreviated spoilers. So hold on to your hats if you don't want to be spoiled. Come back in like 7.5 minutes and rejoin us for plugs. I want to touch back real quick on Mick's comment. So the whole Flowers in the Attic thing, one of my favorite pieces with Jessica Chastain, Will, and I did like her, don't get me wrong. I thought she did a good job. I just wish more. I wanted more. Oh my god. The scene where she's like feeding the poison porridge to wifey wife, and she's like grinding the spoon like on
that was the best scene in the movie.
Oh my god, that was so good. And Mick, right, total Flowers in the Attic at that moment. Spoilers for Flowers in the Attic, but the poison on the cookies and Mama, I'm getting better, like good stuff.
Interesting note about that scene. That scene came up in the QA, because it was one of. I mean, it is the most memorable scene. It was my favorite as well, and Apparently, what had happened there is that wasn't supposed to happen at first. Jessica Chastain had like scraped too hard, and and it had made that noise. And I guess the sound guy was like, no, we've got to reshoot this. That didn't work.
Cut. Let's redo it.
And Toro was like, no, actually, can you keep going with that? Because that sounded really creepy. Can you recreate that sound? So, so that was one of those like things that happens on set, which is kind of always fun to hear about.
Yeah.
What I think I liked about Chastain in this is that I feel like she got to play up a character who was we're in spoilers, very over the top in a lot of ways. Like this is a movie all about big things, big colors, big scenes, big arches and stuff like that. And she was a big character. But what I also liked about it is a lot of these characters, a lot of these villains tend to usually we get to see a villain in a movie. They start off as like, we think they're mundane, we think they're like just a normal person, and slowly their evil drips out, and by the end they're like all out evil. And for me, I kind of saw her in reverse. Like, I feel like a lot of her evil was like, I think we thought of her worse up front. At the beginning of the movie, we think like all these terrible things about her, and sure, she's awful. There's a lot of things, but we get to more of her. I guess she develops in reverse. More of her humanity starts to drip out through the rest of this movie. She still does awful things, but you start to learn a little bit more of the reasons why, and it doesn't necessarily justify it, but at least as a character, it kind of like you get these like, oh, okay, yeah, that's why she's doing these things. I thought that was interesting villain development for this type of movie. It's kind of a mystery that unraveled in reverse.
Does anyone know why in the story they were doing what they were doing? The brother and sister? I mean, they were brother and sister, right?
Yes. Yeah, they were brother and sister.
Why were they doing what they were doing? And obviously they had done this before, right?
Right. So
it wasn't. I kept asking myself, why are they doing this, and where is the money going?
Well, the money was going into their and I'm going to be a little worse on the specific plot details than you guys might, because it's been a month since I've seen this one, so bear with me. Right. And that's the one rough thing about seeing things at festival time is it's just like shit.
What happened there?
But my recollection was, so that he was marrying these people, he was getting the money. They've mapped where he had gone to these different places. Milan and such. This was his first time to go stateside for it. And then the murders had to do more with the jealousy aspect on the Chastain character's part.
But he was obviously getting money. He was doing this. He kept doing it to gain money, I assume.
Yeah, like
and they never fixed that fucking hole in the roof. That bugged me the whole movie. Like, seriously, you can't put a fucking tarp on that thing?
Not only that, but like, where are the leaves through the roof coming from? There's no trees.
Exactly.
The wind, man.
I know. That's what I said too, but at the same time, like, that's a lot of wind.
It's a lot of leaves in the air.
Plus, it's like... it's like covered in snow outside. It's covered in snow outside, but the leaves apparently are still.
Well, when it was snowing, the snow was coming through, and that made perfect sense, and I that was fine. But like when the leaves were coming in, and it was a little thing, but it was bugging me. Like, all right, there's no fucking trees, like really anywhere near that place. Like, where are these fucking leaves coming from?
The snow coming through that hole. I loved the visual on that.
That was
because
nice.
It added to, again, I've mentioned the word drama as this like over the top thing, but like that's like you can't think of a lot of movies where you've seen that type of like foyer. Like usually when you think of a foyer, like you think of it in this type of movie, you think of it as very lush and like lots of golds and lots of like red velvets, and there's lots of red velvets in other places in this film. But here, I mean, we're expected to believe that this manor is in disrepair and it's dilapidated, and you get that from the second she walks in.
I actually really enjoyed the Harry Potter ceiling myself. I thought it was fun. But yeah, I love the house. Like, I was expecting the basement to be a little more creepy than it was, with like the locked vats of, this red liquid clay. But I don't know.
How long was she there before she figured out that that was the Crimson Peak that her mother had warned her about?
Well, she was there. That was the first day.
Yeah, because when she first showed up, I think it said Crimson Peak over the
Actually,
gate.
no, that says Arndale Hall or whatever.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It was the next morning. She goes to sleep, and then she wakes up and she's looking for Loki, and he like shows her his study, and that's when he tells her it's called Crimson Peak.
Guys, Disney spin-off Marvel romantic comedy Looking for Loki.
Right.
Right.
Or HBO show about a bunch of gay dudes and Loki.
Loki's on. So you're telling me Loki's on Grindr?
Looking meets the Avengers. Looking for Loki.
They've tapped into a lot of subgenres. Why not do gay HBO comedy?
Looking
Drama?
for Loki in all the wrong places. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anything else about Crimson Peak, or are we good?
Only other thing I would mention is, Brad, you had mentioned something that you wanted to get to in spoilers, and I don't know if this is exactly the point you were making, but about kind of like the prominence of the color red, specifically as it pertained to, like, of course there's the clay down in the vats and stuff, but one thing I thought was really neat was you had all of these different ghosts through the course of the film, and the ones that were murdered through like these violent means were all appeared as red. The only exceptions being black, being the first ghost and the last ghost. The first one being the mother that died of disease, and the last one who was like kind of an evil tainted soul type thing. I thought the color palette on the ghosts and the way that the first ghost reminded you so much of the last ghost, it kind of built like a not a cyclical movie, it's not that type of thing, but I just love it when you've got kind of a bookended set of scenes, and I think that this movie bookended its black ghosts.
When you say black ghost, are you talking about Jessica Chastain at the piano?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the mother at the beginning.
And the mother at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, all the other ghosts were red, but the one at the beginning and the one at the end were black.
Tom Hiddleston wasn't red.
Tom Hiddleston wasn't red. That's correct. I guess I'm referring more just to the female ghosts in this one.
Oh, okay.
I had a laugh moment where there wasn't supposed to be a laugh. And did you guys ever see that video on YouTube of the redneck girls fighting on the front yard with the shovel?
No.
Oh,
Where one bashes the other one with the shovel?
I have seen it. Yeah.
As soon as the shovel came out, like when I think Mia had the shovel, right?
Yeah.
Against Jessica Chastain's character, I just laughed a little bit to myself because it just reminded me how great they're gonna chase each other across the front yard of Arundel Hall with a shovel, and one of them's gonna get bonked on the head.
Oh my God! Yeah, like I would love. I don't know if I'd love to see this, but I would be mildly amused, and I probably would click play on it if I was scrolling through it on Facebook. If someone took that scene and dubbed the audio from that video,
someone will do it.
Over it.
Nice.
So if you're a listener of the show and you've got like some time to kill at work, like when your boss isn't looking or whatever, and you've got video editing skills, put together that scene for me. I would be mildly interested in seeing it.
All right. Well, let's move on to some plugs. Let's see. For me, I want to plug a movie we watched last night. Some of our friends, Craig and Joe, came over for dinner, and we watched a movie called The Overnight. Executive produced by Mark Duplass, starring Adam Scott, Taylor Schilling, Jason Schwartzman, and I'm going to probably murder her name, but Judith Godrichet? I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's French. Anyway, it's basically just a four-person... it's almost like a weird stage play, in a way, if stage plays could have swimming pools and, giant, sexy, interesting things. I don't want to say too much about this movie. I don't want to spoil it because it is quite fun. It is quite good. I don't want to ruin your enjoyment. It is available on Vudu right now as well as Amazon Instant, I believe. Definitely a lot of fun if you're looking for a good streaming choice. If you, like me, like Taylor Schilling from Orange is the New Black, she plays Piper. Definitely a fun film to check out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
that one
stuff.
was kind of a pleasant surprise to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Directed by Patrick Bryce, who directed Creep.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So good stuff all around. Will, what's your plug?
Yeah, so mine is a two-pronged plug in that I'm going to talk about a movie in a place where you can read up more about it. So last week I had a chance to screen a movie that came out this last week, Goosebumps, which is based on the popular series of books by R.L. Stine. There's a written review up on our website, so if you want to hear more of my thoughts about it, please go check it out. Moviebearspodcast.com.
If you
Click the
grew up
written
in the
reviews
80s
button.
and 90s,
You read these books if you
Yeah.
were a kid of a certain age. Like
Right.
these books were they had runs kind of like later on, but I think the major run was like 92 through 97 or something like that. When they put out just a ton of these books. Like it wasn't like a book a year. It was like 40 books or something like that during that time period. It was just ridiculous. Anyways, so this movie is an adaptation of it. Starring Jack Black as a it's super easy to spoil this one, but Jack Black is the lead in it. It borrows very heavily from the popular and kind of well loved Goosebumps stories. And to be honest, I had no expectation of this film being any good at all. I thought the trailers looked like absolute shit. I like Jack Black in some roles, but he's also the type of guy who can easily tank a property for me. So this was one of the ones where I got the press screener and I thought, well, I'll go do it. You know, why not? And that was was the extent of my excitement. And I walked away from it actually kind of sort of liking it. It's not a brilliant movie. It stumbles a bit in a few areas, but it is way better than expected, and I think it gets, the most important thing is it gets the heart right. Like, this feels like it appreciates and respects its source material and wants you to appreciate and respect it as well. So, it's weird for me to be doing this in this spot, but I'm going to give a soft recommend to the Goosebumps movie.
That's interesting. I know I didn't read any of the Goosebumps books because I grew up, I think, just maybe before they became, popular. But I know that my daughter Carissa read some of those books, so I don't know if I'll end up seeing the movie or not. It might depend if she wants to go see it, then I would see it with her. But yeah, I mean, it's good to hear that it was at least reasonably well done, because you're right, Will. Those trailers look really, really horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
not doing that movie any favors.
No. I mean, Jack Black is not fantastic in this, but he's also really good in this, and I can't go beyond saying that.
Well, I like Jack Black, like you, in a lot of movies. I mean,
but it's if you're looking for something to watch with your family for Halloween, you could actually do a lot worse than this. I soft recommend. It's don't rush out and see it, but if it at all has your interest, go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Jim, how about you?
Well, I stumbled across a movie in a way that was a little strange. There's a movie coming out with Julia Roberts. I forget who else is in it. Chiwetel Ejiofor, maybe. That is called The Secret in Their Eyes. There's been trailers for it, and that's what kind of turned me onto it. And so I went back and I watched this Argentinian movie from 2009 called The Secret in Their Eyes, thinking that it might be, the new movie might be a remake of this movie, and I'm still not sure if it is or not. So if any listeners out there know how these two movies might be related, please let me know. Let me in on it. But I saw this movie and I was blown away. This is an Argentinian kind of a procedural drama thriller movie that also has a love affair aspect that is protracted over a long period of time, as is the murder mystery that's at the center of this movie. Really great movie, kind of in the it's wonderfully photographed, and the cinematography is great. The acting is top notch, and it's kind of reminds me of Zodiac. If you guys have seen Zodiac, kind of in that vein of movie. It is Argentinian, so I have no problems with with the Will, thanks. You said it's a remake of the 2009 movie, which is odd
IMDb says it is.
Which is odd because I saw the trailers for the new one and I saw the old one, and it doesn't seem like a remake. It seems like a little bit of a different story. So yeah, it'll be interesting when that new movie comes out. I definitely want to see that. But I recommend for you folks who kind of like procedurals and well-acted dramas and stuff to go see The Secret in Their Eyes, 2009. It's available on iTunes for a few bucks. You should go see it.
Right on.
Awesome. Alrighty, guys. Well, I think that wraps us up for this week. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, those who have been live. And for those of you listening in digital tape delay, thank you for you as well. We are happy that you are still listening. If you're new, welcome aboard. Glad to have you as well. Find past episodes on moviebearspodcast.com, in iTunes, and on Stitcher Radio. Also, you can find visual versions of all of our episodes since like episode 89 or something. Right? So good. On our YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube. Pull up Movie Bears Podcast. Check it out. You get to see Will's cool Wookiee hat and my R2-D2 Mickey ears and Jim's awesome good dinosaur Ghidorah.
Arlo. It's Arlo. Remember that name.
Arlo, the good dinosaur.
Anyway, good night, everyone. See you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.